everyone. Welcome to the Photo Business Success Podcast. I'm your host, Morgan, with my co host, Megan. And today we're going to be talking about what to do or what to be doing during off season as photographers. We all know that winter tends to slow things down for us, especially if you are in a northern state or, in Canada or something like that, where everything turns frozen and it hurts to go outside. So, we're going to talk about what you should be doing during that time in order to set yourself up for success and continue having a great business. So, the first thing I want to talk about is continuing to do revenue generating activities. And what I mean by this is you should continually be doing things that are going to help bring in money and help increase bookings, whether that is taking sales calls, it's doing reveal sessions or reaching out to potential clients, things like that. We can't let that slide during off season because it's off season and we have other things to be working on. This is like my number one rule for photographers is don't let off season make you think that like we're not booking and we're not continuing to work on things that are going to help bring in that revenue. I just had a conversation with somebody a few days ago who was like, yeah, like, what do you do about, like, money during off season? I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, we make so much money during off season because, like, that's when we're booking. Like, that's when we're taking our sales calls. We're still, like, setting ourselves up for success in the coming year.
Mm.
So, we should be continually doing that and setting aside time during our schedules to focus on that. I personally like to make sure that between 9 and 3, I'm doing those things, and then anything before or after that is other tasks, like, if I'm continuing to work after that, there are other tasks that don't have to be done during business hours, like updates on websites, blogging, things like that. They don't have to be done during those times because I'm focusing on generating revenue during hours. So, Megan, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think knowing having an idea, we talked about this in a previous episode, but having an idea of what you want to accomplish like during off season is really important. But sometimes I've seen this a lot. Photographers get really focused on the big projects, redoing the website, you know,
Mhm.
getting their CRM set up, whatever, all of that. And they don't think about, as Morgan was mentioning, the revenue generating activities, which by the way, like, shoot, you could set up a freaking year's worth of, or, even months worth of social media posts already scheduled to go. You would follow up with all of your leads who said they were going to get married in, the next year and you haven't heard back from them. Like, until you know they've booked another photographer, they're still your lead. Gosh, there are like literally endless, and don't forget that like this is a great time to be networking because our like as photographers, our off season lines up perfectly with engagement season.
Mhm.
So, hello, like this is not the time to be lazy. This is not the time to pull back. This is not the time to just rest on your laurels. This is the time to be out in the world as much as possible.
Yep.
I mean, like, shoot, like, go if you like, I remember in California when I had my business in California, I would shoot an engagement session. I'm sorry, not an engagement session, a proposal on the beach, and I would have people coming and inquiring with me while I was there shooting the proposal.
Mhm.
Because guess what? They got engaged at Thanksgiving, and so now they're
Yep.
looking. I did bridal shows, and, I know that we live at a different time, and not everybody likes bridal shows, that's totally fine, but, like, I did bridal shows very successfully in off season. Basically, my most successful shows were November through February,
Yep.
and so, like, even in California, off season is a real thing. People
Mhm.
want to get married in the warmer months, and like, I know that probably, like, Arizona is probably one of the few that's, like, dramatically different because it's just not possible to get married there during the warmest months. So like for all of us, this is this is the time for us to make the most of
Mhm.
guess what? You don't have any other distractions. You don't have any other major priorities. Continuing to generate revenue for your business is the most important thing. That is the baseline. If you are not generating revenue,
Right.
do not pass go, do not collect $200. You do not need to move on to setting up better systems. You do not need to move on to, talking to new second photographers or, associates or videographers you could add to your team. Like all of those things, that's great. Love that. But I love that for you once you already have the foundation in place
Yep.
of revenue coming in.
Yep. And the amount of photographers I see get distracted by a rebrand during off
Oh
season.
gosh.
If I hear another photographer say, am going to rebrand during off season, I may yell, and I'll probably tell them why that's a stupid idea. Because, like, updating your website, great, fine. But rebranding is not going to change what is going on in your business. We can talk about that another time. But we don't need to get distracted by these new shiny things off season that are going to take away from the important things that are revenue generating activities.
Yep.
Hands down.
Yep.
Now, once you have time in your schedule for that, and that is all planned out, and you know what days you are doing revenue generating activities, which should be every day, but you're not going to do them all day, every day. Let's talk about other things that we recommend. Yes.
Sorry, just I want to interrupt real quick because like most people, Morgan, don't have even like the volume of leads coming in that you do. And
Right.
so like doing that follow-up is it's going to be less than an hour a day. Posting on social media is going to be way less than an hour a day. Like y'all don't have to spend a million hours doing this. Like this live the easy life, my friends. Live the easy life. Like spend half an hour in the morning and half an hour in the evening doing follow-up. Spend, 20 minutes on Instagram 3 different times a day or whatever your
Yep.
preferred app is. Like, this does not have to be your whole life. And
No,
and during off season, take it a little bit easy. So like don't quit those activities, but like what we're about to talk about of other things that you can and ought to be doing during off season, like this should not you shouldn't be devoting, 60, 80 hours a week to this. Like you should mostly be setting yourself up for success and taking time to rest up from what you have just been through.
I want to add to that. I So we do get a lot of leads in. We have probably 8 leads a day come in or more. And I spend 2 hours a day. I have it on my calendar from 9 to 10 and 2 to 3. Or sorry, 9 to 10 and 1 to 2. I spend time, I call it hunting for clients. Whether that's follow-ups, reach outs, organic reach outs, things like that. I spend 2 hours a day working on that, and we book 60 weddings a year. So, it's not all time consuming, but you still have to do it. Just putting that out there. The next thing I wanna talk about is taking time to look at the list that you've created during busy season, what needs improvements. We
Right.
talked about this in a previous episode about preparing yourself for off season. Let's look at that list that you've created. And if you didn't create a list, let's take a day or two to sit down and write down all the things that didn't go well during busy season or just during the regular year. Whether that, like for us, we have been struggling with file transfers from our associates. A whole problem right now. It's fixed, but I had originally planned on pushing that off until off season and was told that I couldn't. So whether it's something like that, it's your email marketing, it's your follow-up systems, it's your tracking, whatever it may be, you have this list. So make sure you sit down and look at it and figure out what takes top priority. And I would go through and rank them as
Mhm.
what is priority and go from there to set things up. You have like 4 months until busy season picks up again. You probably have like December until March. So use that time. You have that time to make sure you're setting yourself up for success in the coming year. So go through that list, rank them, and put on a calendar when you are going to work on these things. And give yourself a little bit extra time there too, just in case something comes up unexpected or there's
And
issues.
I mean, like, I will say this, like, you might be like the craziest, like, most productive person, and like it still usually ends up taking, just like every wedding goes over budget, essentially. It's like
Right.
every project takes longer than planned. Like, I, I do a lot of operations consulting with businesses now, and I'm always telling them to add 10 to 20% to their timelines because, like, what sounds reasonable in the moment is so easily delayed by all kinds of, like, things that you truly cannot anticipate.
Absolutely.
And can I also
And
say,
yeah.
you will have more success if you, in your planning stage, if you map out what the steps and the sub steps are
Mhm.
for that specific thing. So, like, let's just take the, like, building out a lead system as, like, that's gonna be your main project for this off season. It's like, what I would do is I would look at, okay, like, what are the 6 chunks that I can break this into?
Mhm.
And, like, we might do, like, a full episode at some point on, like, project planning because, like, I'm a total nerd.
Nerd.
If I had my glasses on, I would push them up. So break them down into 6 different pieces. So one might be, to build out your CRM. Like, 2 might be to create templates for, like, different reach out, for the
Mhm.
different stages of reach out. Actually, technically, it would be to design what those stages are going to be, what the, like, the stages in your CRM are going to be. Then it would be to, like, create the templates. Then it would be to, whatever that looks like. And then you're gonna literally just, like, make it even more granular. So, like, for each one of those is, like, what are the 1 to 6 things under each of those? Maybe some of them don't have a sub point, but, like, if you don't have a CRM of any kind now, having to research that is going to be step number 1 to getting a CRM. How are you gonna go about doing that? And so if you can build that plan out, then it also becomes really easy because you're able to just look at this and go, "Oh, cool. Well, I'm going to on Monday, I'm going to tackle, these 3 things, and I'm able to move, like, those 3 things forward." And then the rest of the day, like, I've done my RGAs, my revenue generating activities. I've moved my projects forward in these 3 ways. Now I'm going to chill. I'm going to go have lunch with friends. I'm going to go to
Yes.
yoga class. I'm going to take my camera out and shoot a fun project, whatever. But, like, you don't have anything weighing on you as, "Oh my gosh, I know that I should be working on whatever." Take a nap. Love
Yep.
naps. Highly recommend.
Yep. I If you are looking for a way to manage projects effectively, Asana is a great free tool that you can use that will help you put deadlines on things. We can link it in the show notes. That way you guys know what we're talking about. Really like that. We also use Notion for
No,
a lot.
you like a song. I don't, but
I
that's fine.
I don't like Asana. I like
Oh.
Notion better
Oh,
now.
well, I prefer ClickUp for project management,
Okay.
but
Well,
Asana, like,
is
I
a
think
great
Asana is a
free tool.
great. Yeah. And ClickUp also has a free thing, but I think it can be a little overwhelming. So I actually do recommend Asana for newbies. So we'll link to a couple different tools in Notion, although Notion for me isn't a project tool, it's a database and, like, note taking tool. But
You can
yeah,
use it for so many different things.
yeah. So we'll link to those different tools for y'all, and you can try them out and see what's best.
Yeah. The next thing I wanted to talk about to do during off season is to invest in your education. I think this is really important, but I don't want you to take it overboard during this time either. Sit down and figure out where your business is lacking and where you can stand to learn without being to the detriment of your business. If it's something that is actually easier to outsource, I recommend doing that. But there's a lot of things in our businesses that we can learn on that are essential that we can't outsource, like sales and things like that, and marketing. Not that we can't outsource them, but most people choose to keep them in house and for good reason if you are a smaller business. Take time to learn and really evaluate what in your business needs improvement. And when I say this, I mean business. I don't mean your shooting. You can spend time learning about shooting and the different, different tools, things like that, different techniques. That's fine, but I want you to also take time to focus on business side of things because this is so important. You're not going to spend this time during busy season learning how to be better at sales or be better at marketing. You don't have the time for that. I'm fully aware of that. And so now is the best time to take advantage of that. Find educators who align with your vision and are at a place of higher are at a higher place than you are. This may mean looking outside of the photography industry. I highly encourage you to look outside the photography industry because most photographers tend to be narrow-minded and short-sighted and other industries tend to be better at looking at the long term and coming up with solutions. Also, it's going to set you apart from other photographers because most photographers don't look outside the industry. So I highly recommend finding educators who can help level you up during this time. Would you like to add anything to that, Megan?
I just wholeheartedly agree with what you've said. I think that the best thing that I did was look outside
Yep.
photographers. I literally talked to the small business people I knew and,
Compared.
and I also, dabbled in digital marketing before photographers really were getting into it, and that was then what I taught to photographers because
Mhm.
that was winning me clients, that was improving my business dramatically because I was thinking about things that other photographers weren't, and
Yep.
it's what gave me stability and the ability to grow my business beyond, something where I had to show up and shoot at every wedding.
Absolutely. Yeah, I highly recommend looking elsewhere. And if you need advice on that, need suggestions, feel free to reach out to either of us. We would be happy to pass along suggestions dependent on what you guys are specifically looking for. I
Right.
can't just give general educators a shout out right now because there are so many different avenues you could go into, but we can definitely recommend educators who can help you grow and learn. I always make sure during off season I give myself a some sort of education. I try to do like a retreat of some sort during off season to connect with other people because it gives me a great I'm rejuvenated and feel so much better afterwards and feel so motivated. Last year I came back and Megan will tell you that I was a totally different person and I had about 10 businesses ready to go. And this was after 3 days in Costa Rica. So and it was casual conversations on a walk on a beach. So, wasn't even any of, the formal classes. So, I recommend doing things like that for yourself during off season. So, anything else you want to add to this episode, Megan?
I don't think so. I think we covered it. I mean, I guess the one thing I would say is just reiterating, take time for yourself. Yes, always be following up with leads and creating more leads. Do the work, maintain your business, treat your business right so that it can treat you right. Yeah, get some of those big projects knocked out, but also don't forget that you've just been through a lot and you do deserve to rest and play during this time. And as much as possible, I know everyone is their own person. Someone's going to disagree with me on this, but as much as possible, don't spend that time in front of a screen. You have already spent plenty of time in front of a screen. Like, sure, go to the movies, like feel free to watch, that episode that you watch all the time of whatever TV show you love, but don't spend your life scrolling TikTok. Don't don't spend 10 hours a day watching TV shows. there's not really I don't have any judgment in that. I just like, I want better for you, and, like, that's to, like, find a botanical garden to go walk around, like, find go do, like, a tour of coffee shops or taco places or whatever, because there is so much more life out there, and you will be more creatively fueled, and you will literally be, like, more rested
Yep.
if you're going out into the world rather than just, like, holing up and,
Yeah.
listening to what other people have to say. You're an
And that's
artist. You need fuel from the outside world.
And that's why I like doing retreats during off season is because it gives me that creative motivation and I'm not in front of a computer with other people. And yes, I'm learning, but I'm also being inspired by others around me and just getting out there and experience other things. So perfect. Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have for today. If, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either of us. Please comment, rate, review, share all of the things. We will link to all the things we mentioned in the show notes, along with our wedding multiplier tool and the Facebook group to join if you want to be around like minded individuals. We will see you guys next Wednesday. Bye,
Bye.
guys.